The medical bay of the Harmony's Rest Hospice Station hummed with the soft whir of life support systems, each one failing despite the best efforts of galactic medicine. Nurse Chenwei moved between the beds with practiced grace, checking vitals that continued their inevitable decline. The Melodari patients, 7 of them, the last of their species, lay in crystalline pods that pulsed with fading bioluminescence. "Please," whispered Elder Thyssian, her voice like wind through hollow reeds. "We have one final request." Chen knelt beside the Elder's pod, her human eyes meeting the Melodari's 6 opalescent ones. In the 3 months since the plague had devastated their world, she had learned to read the subtle shifts in their facial chromatophores. Right now they displayed the deep violet of profound sorrow. "Anything," Chen said softly. "Our death songs," Thyssian breathed, her translator struggling with her weakening voice. "Our people. We cannot produce them anymore. The plague took our vocal cords first, you see, but to die without the ancestral songs." Her chromatophores flickered to the gray of despair. "We will be lost, unmourned, forgotten." Chen felt her throat tighten. She had witnessed the Melodari mourning rituals before the plague silenced them. Hauntingly beautiful vocal harmonics that could make the air shimmer with resonance. The galactic community had tried everything, recordings, synthesizers, even holographic recreations. But the Melodari insisted that death songs must be living breath, or the ancestors would not hear them. "I'm not sure I understand," Chen said gently. "You want me to sing for you?" The other Melodari stirred in their pods, their chromatophores rippling with what Chen had learned was desperate hope. "Humans," Thyssian said, "are the only other species we have encountered who can produce such varied vocal frequencies. Your people sing, yes? Not for communication, not for mating, but for joy, for sorrow, for memory." "We do," Chen confirmed. "Then please," the elder begged, and around her the dying Melodari echoed in whispered chorus, "Sing to us, please." Chen looked at the 7 faces watching her with fading light. She was a nurse, not a performer. Her singing voice was unremarkable by human standards. She hummed to patients sometimes, sang in the shower. But as she gazed at these dying beings, the last speakers of a language about to go extinct, she knew she couldn't refuse. "I don't know your songs," she admitted. "We will guide you," Thyssian said. "The melody lives in our memory, if you can give it voice." What followed was the most extraordinary collaboration of Chen's career. The Melodari, using their remaining strength, projected fragments of memory. Not words, but feelings, melodic contours, the emotional architecture of songs sung across 1,000 generations. Chen closed her eyes and let the impressions wash over her. She began to hum, tentatively at first, following the rise and fall suggested by Thyssian's failing consciousness. The notes felt ancient on her tongue, older than her species' civilization. She opened her mouth and let the melody pour forth. Not in words, for she knew none of their language, but in pure vocalization that curved and climbed and fell like water finding its path. The medical bay's atmosphere monitors flickered. Chen's eyes opened in alarm, but Dr. Varesh, the station's Kethian physician, gestured for her to continue. The Melodari pods were glowing brighter now, not dimmer. Their chromatophores blazed with colors Chen had never seen them display. She sang louder, following the melodic threads the Melodari wove into her mind. Other nurses and doctors had gathered at the bay's entrance, but Chen barely noticed. The song demanded everything, her breath, her focus, her heart. It was a song of starlight and deep oceans, of children's laughter and the silence of ancient stones. It was grief and celebration intertwined, the acknowledgement that all things must end and that endings themselves are sacred. The air began to shimmer. Chen faltered, but Thyssian's mental touch urged her onward. "Don't stop. They're coming." Shapes coalesced in the space between the pods, translucent ethereal forms that seemed to be made of the same bioluminescence that lit the Melodari bodies. Chen's rational mind knew she should be terrified, should stop, should call for help. But the presences radiating from these forms were not threatening. They were welcoming. The spirits, for what else could they be? Gathered around the pods. Hundreds of them, perhaps thousands, filling the medical bay with gentle light. They swayed in rhythm to Chen's song, and she realized with wonder that they were singing with her, their voices joining hers in harmonics that human vocal cords alone could never produce. The other species watching wept. Dr. Varesh's translator picked up his whispered words. "By the first makers. The ancestral plane, it's real. Chen sang until her voice grew hoarse, until the Melodari's life signs finally, peacefully went still. One by one, the spirits embraced the newly dead, and together they faded into a light that seemed to fold into dimensions Chen's eyes couldn't quite follow. When silence finally returned to the medical bay, Chen collapsed into a chair, her body shaking. Thysian's pot had gone dark, but on its surface, her chromatophores had frozen in a final display, the gold of profound gratitude and the white of peaceful transcendence. Dr. Voresh approached slowly, his 4 hands clasped in his species gesture of reverence. "In 5 centuries of medical practice," he said quietly, "I have never witnessed anything like that. The Galactic Council believed the Melodari's ancestral legends were metaphorical. But you bridged the gap between life and death with nothing but your voice." Chen looked at her trembling hands. "I just sang," she whispered. "No," said a Centaurian orderly, tears streaming down her face. "You did what only humans seem capable of doing. You believed that it might work. Every other species would have dismissed it as superstition, as neurological patterns in dying brains. But humans," she shook her head in wonder, "humans sing to their dying. You always have." In the days that followed, the story spread through the galactic community. The species who had long viewed humans as unremarkable, lacking the Kethians' longevity, the Centaurians' telepathy, the Vrex's strength, began to understand something profound. Humans possessed a unique gift, the willingness to honor others' truths even when those truths defied empirical explanation. Chen returned to her rounds, humming softly to her patients. And though she would never fully understand what had happened that day, she knew one thing with certainty: she would never stop singing to those who needed it. Because somewhere in the spaces between life and death, between science and faith, between the possible and impossible, music mattered. And humanity, with its simple songs and stubborn hope, had proven once again that the universe was far stranger and more beautiful than anyone had dared to believe.